Profanity Nation. Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town. Yeah,
It's the Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Profanity Nation podcast, where we are the voice of the professional fan. As you can see, I'm joined here by Money Mike as usual, but we have a special guest. I'm just going to squash it. We have a special guest, of course. We have Andrea Black in
He can't even ask how I'm doing.
I'm going to skip right
It's all
past.
about Andrea.
It's all about Andrea.
Welcome,
Exactly.
Andrea.
However, we're going to keep moving along because Stat Pat, while he's not in studio, he is still with us and he's joining us remotely. Let's bring him in right now. Stat Pat, how are you doing, sir?
A little under the weather, but we're going to make it work today.
All right, no problem. That is a lovely piano you have there. I
You
really
know, man, I'm nothing but the best for the family, you know. Got the little foray in the front. You know, we're doing big.
A couple of my friends have that same exact. In fact, they have everything there the same, but it's really neat. I'm really impressed by that.
It was the same floor plan.
It's the same floor plan. I know.
Hey,
That was very
look at
popular
colors,
back
man.
then. All right, so we've got a lot to discuss. Stat Pat's going to stay on for the remainder of the show, of course, and let's get right to it. If you ever watch the Profanity Nation or listen, then you know that we always start the show with a segment. The gentleman by the name of Marco Nunez. Marco Nunez is the former Lakers head athletic trainer. Now works on his own. Works with many professional athletes, and we're going to bring him in right now, Mr. Marco Nunez. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. I gotta get a piano. I gotta figure out where my piano went.
Oh, yeah. But you have a different floor plan. That's all it is, man.
Exactly. Don't worry. Well, we're all hoping to get there someday, Marco. Go ahead, Money Mike.
Hey, so Marco, I have a follow-up question about that. Remember that device I told you last week, that electric sensor thing,
Yep.
you know, for my mom and everything? Well, my mom saw the show and then put a comment right at the left, said that she ain't using it, right? So they told me that now I got nobody to give it to, so I guess I got to keep it. But one of the selling points they gave me was if I put the thing on my stomach, I could do like 1,000 sit-ups in like 5 minutes. So let me ask you, man, if I put that thing on me in about a week, you know how quick
ripped you're gonna be.
Yeah, how quick will I get?
Summer's almost here, Marco.
Yeah.
So he wants that beach body.
Yeah. So look, put it in this perspective. My birthday's in August. Like August 9th is my birthday. So if I start now, I got about 2 months. You know, do you think, you know, this
Marco, tell him negative.
This stomach, this stomach right here will go away and I'll have a flat
If you
stomach?
put that stem unit on you, the only six-pack you're gonna get yourself is a Michelob Ultra or Coors Light or something like that.
Hey.
Funny. Unfortunately, those things do not work. I remember actually about 10, 15 years ago, there was a big, huge infomercial and people are selling that. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that company got sued that they were selling it. If you put the little six-pack, the little stem unit on there, you'll get a six-pack without doing any work whatsoever. No, unfortunately, that is not true whatsoever.
I won't lose an inch or nothing, man. I'm just trying to find a use for this. The fair is over, so I can't return it.
You're better off getting a waist trainer.
A waist trainer?
Yes.
So would you recommend a waist trainer?
Yep, that's the unit. Not gonna do anything for you.
Oh man,
Sorry.
That's bad news for me.
All right. So we do have a question, playoffs related, if you'd like. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Marco, I had a question. I know that Clay, I've been watching him against few teams this year. And it seems as though his lateral movement is a little bit slow. We knew that he was one of the defensive specialists on Golden State, but after the duo of those two injuries, his Achilles, and I'm not sure of the other one, but it seems as though he's not trusting his healing. Can you tell me a little bit about like what could still be ailing him? Is it mental, or would it be something that actually physically is still wrong?
Yeah, so it's weird. The interesting part about I like the question that you asked. That the interesting part about especially any big injury or any big surgery when you're recovering that takes anywhere from 6 to 12 months to recover, like an ACL injury. They've done studies where they've asked some of these athletes after their ACL, and at what point did they feel like 100% confident that, you know what, I can trust this knee? And the average number was 2 years. Like the average athlete took about 2 years for them to actually say, you know what, I feel 100% confident mentally that I can trust this knee, I can trust this ankle, that I can move however I want to be. So there is a mental aspect of it, of course, and that's kind of like the whole thing with we talked about the mental health with athletes in general when you're coming back from an injury. Any athlete that I've worked with, when they come back from a major injury, there's what I refer to milestones. They're going to go through a couple of things, a couple of moves that they're going to step, and they're going to like, oh, wait, no, that actually felt pretty good. We had an athlete with the Lakers that he was coming back from an ACL injury. He did it in college. He was one of our rookies, and it was funny because like he would do a move on the court, and he felt a little weird, but I think it was more mental. He would rush to the training room at halftime or after the game. He's like, Marco, check my knee, check my ACL. And I would crank on the ACL. Like, yeah, no, it's still there. You're good. Like, okay, cool. And he was kind of like a little bit of panic mode. So yes, there's definitely a mental aspect, a huge mental aspect to that type of thing. You are going to get a little bit of soreness, a little weakness. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to kind of get back to what they refer to as game shape. It's not like you just come back. Even something simple as an ankle sprain, when you see athletes come back from an ankle sprain, they say 2 to 4 weeks. It can take up to 6 months till they actually feel like, okay, I feel 100% to where I used to do on that part. So there's a bunch of things coming that play into it.
That's a good thing he's a shooter,
Wow.
right? So he can depend on his shooting there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean that we need that defense, man, because we don't want the Celtics to get number 18. So
that's for sure.
So we definitely need them to have that movement.
And I think tonight's game, I was watching a little bit. Once they took a 25-point lead, 30-point lead, they took all the starters except that they kept. I think they kept him in the game.
Exactly.
And I think that it was primarily for him to get his rhythm back, to start getting his confidence back, to get his conditioning back, type of thing. So so obviously the Warriors feel, and like you mentioned, the Warriors feel that he's not quite where he used to be, where it was before, and it's going to take a little time, unfortunately. Luckily enough, a player like Klay Thompson and a high caliber player like that, at about 75, and I said this before, 75%, 80%, you're still going to take him over somebody else that's 90% or 95% that's not a big shooter, like Michael Jordan. Anybody would take Michael Jordan at 75% over pretty much any other player that I can think of.
I'm just curious, Marco, because it's such a big part of it is overcoming the mental struggle. Mm-hmm. You don't have to name any, but have you personally, come in contact with any athletes that weren't able to get over that hump, and just as far as at least your professional opinion was concerned, they never reached their true capability of play again, but it wasn't because of the injury anymore. You felt maybe it was more mental. Have at any professional athletes that you dealt with? Again, you don't have to name names.
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head right now on the part, but I will tell you a story. That same athlete that I was telling you about with the ACL injury, this athlete had huge hops coming out of college. I mean, he was one of the biggest vertical jumpers. And in one specific practice, he got really up high. And he told me, hey, I was so high up in the air that he kind of freaked out a little bit and said, he's up in the air, already in midair. And he's trying to tell himself, I can't be up this high. I cannot be up this high. And he was trying to kind of get himself down. So it does take some time. But unfortunately, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that the mental aspect probably roadblocked or steered his career differently, pre-post type of thing.
You know who may come to mind is Derrick Rose, because I know he had a hump where obviously he had his MVP years, and then he got the back-to-back injuries, and then all of a sudden, when everybody kind of thought he was washed up, he started coming and being a very effective player again.
And that's a good point as far as Derrick Rose. I remember Derrick Rose got a lot of criticism for taking that full year off after his ACL injury. And I think if you think about it, it might have been a very smart thing, in hindsight for him to do, because like I said, it can take up to a year, 2 years for you to get that confidence back and then not rush back. Especially, I think after the first two injuries or surgeries, he kind of came back and tried playing, and he kind of wasn't himself. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to take a full year, get myself right, get my conditioning, get everything right. And he came back. And like you said, when he came back, he was actually doing well. Now, there's a few players, and I think the only one that comes to my head but he's an anomaly was with the Minnesota Vikings running back that came back after 8 months, and he just blew it up like crazy the next year. Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
But that's rare. I mean, that is rare for somebody to come back after 8 months and go crazy like that.
Yeah,
And-
definitely.
and
Gotcha.
and it lasted for a very long time.
Yeah, he actually
'Cause
came
he's
back
still good.
and did well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's one of things that are unexplainable, like a freak of nature type of thing.
Or
right?
maybe it's just part of like Adrian Peterson was just mentally tough.
Again, built that way.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Kobe came back, he's shooting free throws with a torn Achilles, like where we see people being carried off in wheelchairs and
in
so
tears,
forth. In tears.
for far less.
And Kobe's walking to the free throw line. I think a lot of it, like I was listening to Marco, like mental is very, 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 very high in percentage of your healing, because if you believe it, like I know it sounds corny, you believe that you can achieve it, but it's a fact, man. As you think it, you are.
Mhm.
So I think mental is a lot of it. That's what I'm taking from this.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, and you're right. I mean, and the mental health aspect has become a huge thing in the last couple of years, and unfortunately, it's been there. It's been there for the longest time. But yes, you're right. How mentally tough you are, what you think, can dictate how far you want to go. Like there's a saying out there: your attitude would determine. Your attitude will determine your altitude. How much you think of yourself and have how much confidence you have yourself is going to determine how high you're going to go. So yes, the mental health aspect, and it's funny that you say this. We had a player again with the Lakers that I think had sprained his thumb, and he's on the court saying, "I'm done for the year. I'm done for the year. That's it. I'm done." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You just sprained thumb. We'll tape you up and but you're right. It's how you approach it and stuff like that, and it's almost how you're going to have obstacles in your way. You're going to have injuries. If you play sports, injuries are going to be part of your game, and how you approach it and your mindset to it. It's going to be roadblock. And it's funny now, even when I work with young athletes, one of the things I kind of look at as I'm working with them, how mentally tough are they? How much are they pushing themselves? And you can kind of start seeing this even at a young age. There's a young kid actually I'm working with right now. He's a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, wants to be a football player, and I get out there and he's working with me on strength and conditioning. And he's like, "Hey, let's do another rep. Let's do another rep. Let's keep going. And he just pushes right through it type of thing. So it's interesting how your mind can help you overcome anything that you have with your body.
My mind keeps referring back to the movie Tin Cup with Kevin Costner as golfing, and he couldn't get through it. So he saw the woman, which of course was his girlfriend, but to help him. So it was all mental. And I guess golf is actually a good little synopsis of that, right? Because it's a lot of mental there. Yeah. Marco, thank you so much for joining us. If you could please let our listeners and our viewers know the best way to keep up to date with what you've got going on, please.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding injuries, recovery, nutrition, strength and conditioning, feel free to DM me on my Instagram at MarcoAnew17, or please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Evolve Athletic Performance.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, Marco.
All right, take care.
We appreciate it. All right, Marco. The mental game, right? But that's always been sports, and that's one of the things specifically that we always respected about Mamba, right? About Kobe, it was the mental game that he brought. Yeah, I mean, that's what I know you're looking for. Yeah, much of your complaints, but let's get to it. We've still got.
Hey, Pat, how'd you get to Staples that quick?
Yeah, that was pretty quick,
man. That bullet train, man. They got a bullet train now, so yeah,
teleportation.
I got there though.
Magic ashy carpet. All right, my friend. Glad you're with us. Glad you're feeling good enough to join us. We appreciate it. The topics of today that we're going to talk about, we have Andrea Black in here, and let's just get right to it. The Lakers have hired a new coach, guys. The Lakers have hired Darvin Ham. He was a former assistant of the Milwaukee Bucks. He is now the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. Some people are happy, some people are not. Let's go ahead and let our guest get started, and then we're going to go straight to you, Stat, and hear what you have to say. Andrea, what are your thoughts? What was your immediate reaction? Because it wasn't a surprise. I mean, people were talking. Darvin Ham was one of the names, but what was your immediate reaction when you heard that it was official?
I went back to sleep. Yeah, that was my initial reaction. I'm not impressed. That's the most I can say. Me personally, I didn't think we had a big pool to choose from. So it was a little bit hard for us. Nobody wants to take on this huge task we have in LA, dude, to coach LeBron, to coach Russ. Like, there's a lot of like attitude, people that think they've already arrived. Like there's what kind of ego? Like, what do you do? And for so I literally immediately thought, like, is this the coach that's going to be able to tell Russ, like, you're really not that guy, my guy? Like, it would be best if you sat on the bench
To
some
humble him.
nights.
He needs
You know what I'm
who's
saying?
the coach
Like,
to humble him, right?
and I don't think there's any coach that's going to humble him. And that's my point. The only person I thought had a chance to do it was Mark Jackson, because he's takes no nonsense. And for me, I thought that was the best option for us. Darvin Ham, I actually know that Kobe loves him because he endorsed him. They used to work out together in Atlanta and off season. He said he's a very physical coach that wants to physically, like, get body to body. He's going to tell you how to, get down and dirty and win these games, so that you can appreciate. And if Kobe says something, I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off.
Right.
But for
Pelinka.
me, I worry because Russ is one of those hard-headed knuckleheads that we have on our roster. I don't know how we're gonna be able to penetrate that.
Well, I tell you, my first initial reaction was, and I'm not hating, but I was a little disappointed that LeBron was so happy for him.
Oh my God.
And the reason why,
you're a hater, dude.
No, I'm not the hater, and I think
We were supposed to go to Pat, but that's fine. Go ahead.
But here's my thing. Like, I think, I just don't want LeBron to have the run of the system of what in regards to like what he did last year. Like, he kind of was able to say and do.
But you do want to set him up for success.
I do want to set him up for success, 100%. But I feel like last year he kind of was just doing whatever he was doing, saying whatever he was saying. And the fact that he loves that, is Darvin Ham going to be able to tell him, look, this is what I need for you to do.
So why does he get ridiculed for liking a pick? He didn't endorse him or ask for him.
Yeah,
like, why does he get
so excited?
Why does he get ridiculed? I mean, it's nothing LeBron can do in your book.
Let's go to Stat.
Okay.
Stat Pat, what are your thoughts on the Darvin Ham hire by the Los Angeles Lakers?
Okay, so when it comes to the hire, at first, I like the hire, but it is a little bit underwhelming. But I will say that I think the Lakers need that right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that we've always looking for the name. We're trying to get, like, when we first did this whole coaching search, we started throwing out all these names and all these current coaches and stuff like that. And, like, honestly, like Andrea pretty much mapped it out. We have issues, a lot of personality issues on this team, and how are we going to navigate that? However, I think Darvin Ham is the physical presence that we need in that locker room. If you ask me, if I look at Vogel looked like a wimp. I'm just hating to say like that. But he looks like he's easily pushed over. Darvin Ham is not going to be that person. So if, Russ want to go ahead and do those shenanigans, what are you going to do? Nut up? I mean, what is he going to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can only go so far. Before you know it, he gets in his entourage and they talking through the media and all that other stuff. But he's not doing anything physical. So I think he's going to be subdued in that way. However, it's good to see that the Lakers are now finally betting on upside. They bet always on the sure thing. Let's see what this upside is. Let's see what this coach is. And he's supposed to be strong in the X and the O's. One thing of criticism about the Lakers last year is we just didn't have any kind of offensive fluidity. It was just non-existent. All right, let me see that first. Let me judge you on a game-by-game basis. But right now, it's a cool hire, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not jumping on my sock for it.
I think I think a lot's going to depend on the rest of the team, the rest of the coaching staff. I think he definitely can't do it on his own. So, when you go back to that first year with Vogel in the bubble, when he had Kidd, he had the coaching staff that we felt helped them get there. It wasn't necessarily just Vogel. Well, I think Darvin Ham's going to be the same situation. Have we heard anything? Have you, Money Mike, heard anything?
I haven't heard anything about assistants, but I mean, me and Andrea was talking off air that we both love Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson would be great to kind of come in there and
as an assistant,
and as an assistant, obviously, because Darvin is the head coach.
I think he would be great, but
as a assistant or head,
I think he would be great as a head coach. I wanted him as a head coach.
Okay,
Darvin can sit in the back seat for me.
Yeah, but can a reverse thing happen?
I think your head coach calls the shots, and I think Mark Jackson is less. No, you're gonna listen to me. I don't care. this is my team. Mark Jackson has more of a force. Darvin Ham, what I saw, behind what's the Milwaukee coach, Budenholzer, when he was behind him, he does make the right adjustments. He does know the game. You can see that. However, I think those are characteristics of somebody that backs your head coach. I think the head coach needs to be able to rally the troops, keep everybody in line, and so forth like that. To me, honestly, I don't know, but I've never been a Phil Jackson fan, and the fact that he's been behind all of this for over a year is what we're finding out. He's been giving expertise, who we should hire, what adjustments we should make, what we should add.
Doesn't necessarily mean they're
that.
going with it, but he's giving his 2 cents.
Okay, but why are you sitting in the back seat? Since you're such a Zen master, right?
Mhm.
And since you have the ability to coach great players, and if there's, LeBron's a great, AD is a great compliment, Russ is a great point guard according to, top 75, why not take the task on yourself, sir? Why not take the task on yourself? That's what I've been saying. Like, why is Phil Jackson sitting back?
Well, because
we can speculate health.
Well, I would say that's not the team that is constructed for, his
because
offense.
If you can't win, he doesn't want to sit in the seat.
I'd argue, going back to Mark Jackson, if we could, that actually he would be great as an assistant, and it would be a great career move if he wants to get back into coaching. He apparently burnt the bridge so bad at Golden State with his mannerisms and his beliefs and his pushing those on people that he could also be an assistant. He would take that role, especially if he can get them to a championship squad, and he could hold as an assistant the team accountable to follow the team plan, to stick to the plan. He could do that in that role and therefore earn himself back probably a spot on as a head coach. I don't think anybody's giving Mark Jackson another spot directly as a head coach unless he goes in someplace and proves it. I just believe that what happened in Golden State, while I believe it's actually understated how much he burned his bridge there, to be honest with you, I think that's gotten around, and people just would rather avoid it.
He's been blackballed.
Yeah. But that's it. So he has to prove his way back in. He's not going to just get that role. And it depends how much he wants it.
But it's crazy how we speculate like all these things about him, but so many players supported him. It's crazy.
Yeah, because he, the coaches loved him. I mean, when he first got, I'm not the coaches.
It's the head office that didn't like him.
The players loved him. Like, even when he was calling that first championship, you kind of saw the, almost a homage to him as he, as Kerr was obviously the head coach, but
he built the squad, man. He built the squad.
Yeah, like, it was literally like that. What was that? Tony Dungy, how Tony Dungy had built the.
Hey, you could say the same thing about the Bulls. Say the same thing about the Bulls and Michael Jordan.
Then Gruden came in and won. No, Tampa Bay. And then Gruden came in. They won the Super Bowl.
Yes, you can say the same thing.
I feel like that's kind of, how what happened over there in Golden State. But look, I think he would be a good assistant coach because I think he could follow behind what Darvin Ham is doing. Because the first thing Darvin Ham said, like, look, this dude Kurt Rambis, we don't need him. You know what I mean? So
he's not going to be in our meeting.
He basically told him, I will not be your coach. If I cannot say he's not able to come to these meetings. And I was like, dude, what is Kurt Rambis even or the Rabbi? We're gonna call him Rabbi.
But that's what we deal with because our franchise is different than all others. It's a family business, and Kurt Rambis and his wife are family, and we have a hard time separating church and state with the Lakers. Like, you don't have to hire and make up a job for everybody. Like, we really don't. And what is Kurt Rambis really bringing to the winning table? What are you doing? So
what's
the fact that Darvin,
we were talking about what was Kurt Rambis' title? You remember?
Yeah, his I think it was like special advisor to, I think it's Lakers special advisor. I think that's what it was. But his duties included that he can sit in on the day-to-day operations of the coaching and also personnel. So he can sit in if you wanted to sit in with Palinka and kind of like look over Palinka, or he can look over.
In winning time, that was Jerry West. Go in there and find out what's going on. And he'd poke his head through the door, and they'd say, "Get out." That was Jerry West.
Right.
In winning time, it's exactly what.
The thing is, though, the crazy thing about that is, like, you know, Jerry West is Jerry West, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, him doing that, yeah, he needed to be in there because, like, he actually had the expertise. Like, you looking at Rambis, and it's like, I don't know if you guys seen The Bronx Tale, but there was a scene in that movie where they went to go to the racetrack and they bet on this horse, and everybody was cool. But this guy named Mush bet on the horse, and he was like, "You might as well tear them tickets up because once he bet on it, it's already turned to shit." And so that's what I'm saying right now with Rambis. It's like he's putting his imprints on what we're doing right now, and nothing looks like, oh yeah, I'm glad Rambis actually had something to do with it. Like there's nothing that he's doing right now that is actually enhancing our product. And going back to what we were talking about, how the Lakers are run. Let's be honest, the Lakers are run like a mom and pop shop. I mean, like a mom and pop shop. Like it's literally that. It's a family business. Okay, this is the only income, so this is that's our baby. But at the same time, we don't have the business mind, or at least someone that's not influenced by their friends. And that's one thing I think that Jerry Buss is separated from what Jeannie, because Jeannie's like all about her homies. Jerry Buss, like, what can you do for me? You could be my homie if you could do something for me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a totally different, but yeah, Lakers are mom and pop right now. Until I see otherwise, we're a mom and pop.
Now, there was one thing that you mentioned that just completely made me feel exactly like they're still sticking mom and pop. And that was, well, Darvin Ham, Kobe liked him. Look, now, any time Kobe gave his approval, that's a great thing. But if they're doing it because of that, then they still haven't left their own bubble. They're still in that bubble. If that's the case, I don't know that that's the case. Time will tell. I do like that they gave him a 4-year, but I don't think any coach is signing anything less. That means that after 2 or 3, they might dump him if it's not working out. Who knows? I think, again, a lot will depend on the staff, and we'll just have to ponder that. There was more news this week, and I'd like to get Money Mike's reaction. Can we zoom in on Money Mike's face really quick here? Let's get, there we go. Okay, Money Mike, look right at the camera, and let's just see what your reaction is. Okay. LeBron James is now a billionaire.
I don't care.
You're a hater, dude.
I mean, I don't care.
I promise you, active basketball player.
I ain't hating. No, wait a minute.
He's a billionaire, and you don't care?
Well, here's the thing. We knew why he came out here for his production company.
I'm disappointed in you.
We knew that since he came into the league, he went and built his empire from scratch. We knew that he understood that he could become a billionaire once he came out here to LA. I love the dude. The dude went over there in Akron and popped in on the kids and said hello to them. I love all of his philanthropy and all the stuff that he's doing. So he's not giving me, he's not letting me borrow, $10. So why do I really care?
Andrea,
I mean, help me out.
The only quote.
Can I borrow $10?
The only quote that I saw in regards to it, and it might have been a meme actually, was the comparison from Michael Jordan, billionaire, to LeBron, billionaire. And they say when you compare it, Money Mike's going to love this one. I can promise you that. Jordan is not only a billionaire, he made so many other millionaires off of his brand, and other athletes he paved the way to be millionaires, while Braun is a billionaire and has done nothing for any other player.
And that's a lie. That's a lie. I don't understand why we want to. I feel like it's all a ploy. I feel like basketball gets in this bubble where we have to praise Michael Jordan, and he is like king of everything. Speaking of which, we have an Air Jordan sign in front of me. But nonetheless, I just feel we're so focused on Jordan, what he's done, his shoe brand, etc. Like LeBron has literally went out here and helped athletes in the league today, literally business savvy and smart. There were a lot of players being treated as pawns. Now you have players like, MPJ getting $207 million and he's on a back injury. Now you got players that they are commanding to be paid what they're worth because of the tutelage that they're getting from Braun. So I think that's a lie. Like Braun is trying to share. That's why clutch exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we have to be fair across the board. We're so focused on Jordan is king of basketball, whatever. Like,
and look, I can agree with that to a certain degree because
y'all making me sound like I'm like the ultimate Bron fan. You just a hater.
Listen, I'm about
Can't
to get,
do it.
Look, the fact that LeBron James makes what $44 or $45 million a year enables an above average player to make $20 million, right? So because if his salary was less, then theirs will be also. So you need those top heavy players to be making that amount of money
for the salary curve.
Yeah, so that way.
But he's getting people paid.
Yeah,
though.
well,
no, he's getting. You know what? I think he's making a bigger difference, like you said, business wise, professionally.
I like all LeBron,
and only one person can blaze
the
the first trail. What exactly is he supposed to do now for athletes? Or every athlete that has a name that you might remember has a shoe. They don't even have to be all-stars anymore to have a shoe. So
Alex Caruso got paid because of LeBron. I think that them as
and
a
I
team.
Appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on.
Malik Monk is gonna get paid. Whatever. Whatever.
Hey, the reason why I'm clapping is because all of LeBron off court, advances he's done is amazing. I love what he did again for charity, philanthropy. I love that he taught the business savvy for other players to be able to get paid.
Shout out to I Promise.
But
School.
you just hate what he does on the court.
Well, listen.
But you just hate it.
He's just not a fourth quarter guy that I can depend on that's going to make the shot the last, 30 seconds of the game.
Was Magic?
Was
Magic?
Hey, his shot of three, good, and he beat the Celtics. So I'm good.
So
with that.
LeBron has a game winner. He literally is number one in efficiency for fourth quarter shots taken, and that's in Google.
Mike,
and I'm not even a Bron fan. I just think you need to.
It when numbers actually
but that's
prove him wrong.
Stat, though.
It does, and
he's
it proves
number
him wrong.
one.
Help me out. What
the crazy part about it is, like, literally, you're saying you want him to be that person in the fourth quarter. Why do we want to make somebody the player that they're just not? He's a facilitator first. He's going to find that player that's wide open for the best play possible.
Why am I?
We loved Magic for it. Why we can't love Bron for it?
I'm really interested in something here. Wait. I'm really interested in something. Okay. Other people call him the GOAT. You're very aware. He's not. You're right. Let's go there. LeBron's not the GOAT. We're gonna give that to Money Mike. Now, okay. You say he's not the GOAT. There's these tiers of players. What other NBA player would you compare him with as far as caliber? If you said, oh, he's the same as this guy, who would it be?
I mean, LeBron is his own person.
No, but who would it be? Come on, because he ain't the GOAT. So there's only one GOAT, but down below the GOAT, there's a lot of clones. Who's his game pattern like? Everyone is someone like someone. Who's he like?
Who is his game pattern?
No,
I just said his name.
Who's next up? Like what is in that same realm?
Like right now, period.
Right now.
I mean, there's nobody really that has a game like him, but I don't like his game. So because
why? What do you not like about his game?
I think he's a very, very smart basketball player, but I think he makes the wrong decisions. I think when we only need a 2-point shot,
Jimmy Butler,
instead of him popping the three, he should go in there and go to elbow and get that 2-point shot. I think he makes bad decisions at the end of the game. And he's just not a player that
is it just the fact that people call him the GOAT, or is it these decisions that you don't want?
So how do you call him a smart basketball player, but then say he doesn't make the right decisions? It's contradictory.
No, he doesn't.
There are times when he'll just.
But everybody has that moment.
Look at Jimmy Butler.
Everybody has that moment. Like, everybody has a moment where they make the wrong decision. We are looking for the
J.R. Smith.
Not the exceptions. We're looking for the norm. Normally, LeBron is going to make the right decision, the right pass, the right shot, and so forth. Everybody makes a mistake here and there.
Okay, am I wrong, Pat? Let me ask you: am I wrong for saying? And I'll add Michael Jordan in this. Am I wrong for saying that we really, there's always a conversation back and forth who the GOAT is between Michael Jordan and LeBron? Mainly because of advertising.
Neither one of them are the GOAT. That's just me.
I mean, no, but that's what I'm saying. But I think people go and say that because of advertising. more so than anything else. Is that not valid for me to say something like that, Pat?
No, you have a good point. Case in point, it was funny during the 2003 summer 2003. I think Kobe Bryant was out of his contract with Adidas, and he was finally going to go to Nike. And so once he got in trouble in Colorado, all of the stuff that Kobe Bryant was on was just stripped and just shipped to LeBron. So Kobe Bryant had the Sprite contract, not anymore. Kobe Bryant had McDonald's, not anymore. Kobe Bryant had, he had had Coca-Cola, not anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he had all of this stuff, and then also the shoe that he had with the Air Hirachis, which were awesome. The Air Hirachis were going to be Kobe's shoe. So yes, it has a lot to do with the market, because once that happened, once he started getting the marketing pull, then it was over after that, because his basketball, it was going to take care of itself, and then all the other stuff was just going to make the brand even bigger. Now, going back to what you were saying about how he didn't help, make anybody better or make millionaires out of people, if he did clutch, if he made Rich Paul, all right, then it's over. Then really look at what happened after that. Now we got Jay-Z talking about we got Rock Nation Sports. Then we got what? We got Donda Sports.
We got Donda.
Now we got Donda Sports. You see what I'm saying? Like these ideas were never thought about until LeBron James and that whole Maverick Carter, LeBron James, and Rich Paul conglomerate. Basically that's it. Can you guys hear me, or am I talking? What's up?
No, you said
we can hear you.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me say, like, I have no problem with that. Like, everything he's done off court, making more millionaires and billionaires, is amazing. His business savvy is great. The fact that Rich Paul, everybody actually got mad at Rich Paul. They tried to make a rule to say that you had to have a college degree in order to be an agent. That's literally like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar bar rule, where you can't do a slam dunk because you're too tall. It's the same type of stuff where they try to, they literally found something specific where they was trying to, push you out. Even though this dude literally is making more money for a player, every player that he has than any other sports agent. They're trying to say he's not.
That's why I said that was a whole lie.
Yeah, so I love everything that LeBron's done off the court. I just, as a basketball player, he's not my GOAT.
What one player
Why?
would you trade him for?
Can I ask this one
Please,
question?
go ahead.
Can I ask this one question? Because I just want to know. So, in your top 10, is Magic in there?
I would put Magic probably like 9, 10, yeah.
9 or 10?
Yeah. But here's the thing. See, I'm starting with Bill Russell. You know what I mean? Like, I'm starting with people.
How are you starting with Bill Russell? Just because of ring count? Because when you talk about skill, I'm confused.
I mean, look, that dude was able to do.
So you're talking about ring count?
Well, and consistency. And
so Robert Ory's number 2 or 3?
No, Robert Ory's not 2 or 3.
Okay, we're talking about ring count, right?
Yeah, listen, and record. Like, here's the thing. This dude literally is still, what is he, 4-11?
Yeah,
44%.
In a time when they
had
they
8
were
teams,
so overwhelmingly dominant.
Look, my daughter. If my daughter takes a test, there's 11 questions. She get 4 right. I'm upset with.
Okay, here's one thing that some
LeBron.
Here's something that some LeBron fans who think he's the GOAT will say, and some naysayers are still holding against him, but they say, well, if this happens, then he's the GOAT, and it confuses me. If he passes Kareem as the all-time scorer, he's the GOAT. Yet they do not consider Kareem himself,
and that's my GOAT.
I don't get it. It's confusing.
And this is my GOAT.
There it is. It's
the GOAT is the greatest of all time. I have not seen a floor that Kareem has not dominated from top to bottom.
Yep.
Basketball wise, blacktop, high school, college, NBA, doesn't matter. He's dominated everything. He has a move that nobody can block or stop nor duplicate. Why is he not your GOAT? It doesn't make sense to me. Well, Kobe came in the league, duplicated and made Jordan's game better. He added to Jordan's game and created his own avenue, right?
But because he perfected what Jordan had done, he gets demerit points for that.
Exactly. So why do this is the part that boggles my mind. I feel like people get so Jordan minded. It's like we can't see outside. Like basketball, like, hello, if y'all a fan of basketball, please go watch Kareem.
Yeah.
Please go watch Kareem.
if you actually attributed those same rules in a sense to other random sports, let's say skateboarding, you're like, well, man, you can't do that, that 360 because that's already been done by, Tony Hawk. So it would never have advanced. So that's the only way, is to take what someone has done, learn it, and build upon, right? I mean, that's it. Nobody believed that the 4-minute mile could be beat until some random guy said, I'm going to do it. And he did it. Then a month later, someone broke that record. So it was mental. It was just,
Yeah, look, I agree. Listen, I will put Kareem number 2. I agree with you.
I just don't understand how you have Bill Russell at number one. It makes me lost.
Thanks, Demetrius.
I get lost because the only thing that puts him at number one, people want to talk about rings, and that's what sets you apart. Point blank, period. It has to, because that's the only thing that's glaringly obvious about Bill Russell. After the rings, 8 teams. Like, come on. Like, if that's the case, you have Bill Russell, Robert Ory, then you have Wilt because he had 100 points.
Because you have to be counting just rings.
It has to be. That has to be the starting point, dude. Because Bill
there's
Russell makes
really
no
nobody-
sense.
So yeah, it can be ring count. Okay, that's a given. But throwing Robert Ory in there just to make the point, that's a little disingenuous. And I'm going to say that because of the fact that we know that he doesn't have the career to match the rings. He have all the rings he won, but we're not talking about just ring count. We're talking about the career that matches the ring. So Bill Russell, even if he played with 8, he did have a Hall of Fame career. Same thing with Kareem. He still had a Hall of Fame career, plus he had six rings. Robert Ory ain't got no Hall of Fame career. He just won 7 rings. So he's not in this conversation. He's out. He's out of it. So when we're talking about,
Nope.
no way. There's absolutely no way he's in it. There's no way he's in it. There's no way that's valid because of the fact that he doesn't have his career. It doesn't matches up. Period. You can't say that because ring count that his career matches up. It doesn't. So why is that the criteria when we're ignoring his career?
It's 8 teams, bruh. Like 8 teams in the league. Listen, you know how many different
but don't use him. But don't use him then.
Superstars you go against every night. Like 8 teams is completely different ball game, dude. I'm so sorry. It literally has to have asterisks. I'm sorry. There's way more athletic, way more like quality and more athletic now. Like, come on. That's just.
But that's what the new generation. But this is what the new generation is actually doing to the 80s. And that's what's really getting. This is why the whole GOAT conversation was so out of whack, because now you have the stat nerds are going to go hit you with the PER and efficiency and not use the eyeball test. As we grew up watching the game, we saw Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas probably shot 40% for the game, but he's Isaiah Thomas. The eyeball test says something different. Now everyone in this generation is going to try to hold everyone to these stats and then call the 80s, Jordan dominated against plumbers. Okay, so basically, if we're going to use the same thing, the same argument to argue against Bill Russell because he played with less athletic people, then
Correct.
Jim McIlvain ain't doing anything like these dudes
Correct.
are doing right now. So what I'm saying is, then what is the argument? Because then I can just use that same argument based upon if we're going to tear down Jordan. Because that means
Pat. I agree with you. Jordan's not the GOAT either.
This is it. There's literally only one answer, and there's the GOAT of eras. And Russell was the GOAT of his era. Jordan was the GOAT of his era. Kobe was most definitely the GOAT of his. And you can go down the line, but and Magic or Kareem, the GOAT of his. But you cannot comparing. You can't, for the very reason you said, 8 teams. Well, if you're going to include 8 teams versus the 30, then you also have to include that the rules are different, that they introduced the 3-point line, that this is all of that. Every single time they change any sort of facet of the game, it kind of resets the clock. And you have to go, okay, now it's a new ball game, new era. They added more players, so they get, more rest time or more fouls so they can play. It's all different each time. The only answer is GOAT of an era, because that's the only way you can say, well, who played the best with those rules against those players at that time.
And let me ask you a question. Though,
And I
like,
would say individual player. I would argue Wilt instead, but that's
Yeah.
just me.
Look, Wilt's a good choice too. But let me ask you this though: like, haven't we seen like all the teams that LeBron is going to? He's had to put together a super friends, in order for him even to be able to go
What
there.
teams have won
Like-
that didn't have some super?
Yeah, but here's the difference. Look, if you look at right now,
His
like what's
first
going
ring.
on. If you look at what's going on right now between the Warriors and the Celtics, right?
Yeah.
These two teams were put together by the traditional way. Let's say that the traditional way is by GM.
Mhm.
The draft, draft picks. Like
Mhm.
they had a highlight that said that when the Celtics, traded Kevin Garnett and
Yep.
everybody else over to the Nets, their picks were Jason Tatum and Brown. Right, that's what they got in those following picks that they go and put them together. Right, so I can appreciate, even though I hate the Celtics, don't ever want them to win, I can appreciate how they put that team together. I can appreciate how they put the Warriors together because it was actually done through the GMs. It wasn't, hey, future Hall of Famer, come play with me. And then we can go
But
ahead.
then you're,
KD, forgive me.
but then you're not okay. So then you're not mad at Bron. You're mad at the Laker franchise then, because we've never been that type of team. We've always been the type of team that trades for talent. Always. It's
Yeah.
never been a
We
time
traded
where
for
we don't.
Kareem.
Absolutely. We've always traded for every piece.
And then
that
when
we
we
got to
drafted,
build
we've
onto,
drafted
right?
well.
And when we drafted well and used them as crutches to get somebody else. The thing is, right now, I love the picks. We could have had Jason Tatum right now.
We could have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely understand what you're saying, but all that takes time and no rings. We're literally I want it now franchise. We always want to win. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. So do you want to sit here and rebuild for 7 years, or do you want a ring?
Well, look, I said that I did not want to trade for AD. You guys all know I said that. I figured we should have waited an additional year. I
Mhm.
felt that he would have came over as free agency because we already had LeBron on the team. If that would have happened, then we would have still had Ingram and
Couldn't afford them all.
well,
There's no way. Do you
It
see how
doesn't-
they've
you
blossomed?
still,
Bill?
dude. Every team, as soon as their stars blossom, they got to get
But
rid of
see,
them
I
or make
disagree with
cuts
that.
because you can't
We
afford it.
couldn't have though.
but the Warriors have. I mean, right? They
Because they've all agreed to take pay cuts. They have. Go look.
man. Look,
The only person that's not taking pay cuts is Steph Curry. Everybody else, when Kevin Durant was there, they were working together to make sure that they fit a certain pay cut. I'm serious.
yeah.
Or they would be thinking like, okay, how can we make up the salary in a different way to make sure that you get paid? Lakers don't operate like that, yo. Like we literally, what we do is we bring in great picks and we use you to get somebody else because we want gratification right away. I'm not even mad that we traded for AD because we got a ring from it. Where other franchises are still, the Chicago Bulls are still waiting. Lonzo's over there. He's still waiting to get a ring. Okay.
New Orleans.
Listen. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Went to New
Washington
Orleans.
now.
They
Refuses.
literally were sitting there at the bottom of the barrels. No rings, right? Then you got Jordan Clarkson, the star in Utah next to Donovan and so forth. That team is trash. Quinn Snyder, bless you. I hope you go somewhere and literally flourish.
That was what I was going to get to. By the way, let's just hop there right now. By the way, because we've talked about Lakers and goats and so forth. Quinn Snyder is out as Utah coach, and we suspected that might be something that would happen. And we actually were wondering whether or not the Lakers had their eyes on Quinn Snyder. It looks like that wasn't the case, but Quinn Snyder's out. My take on Quinn Snyder is he's a good coach. If you want to be a perennial number 4 or 5 in the league, he's going to be great. Thoughts on a place for Quinn, or timeout, or back to the bench as an assistant?
No, I think he's a good head coach. I just think he didn't have a good team. That's point blank period.
Just Utah has been.
I
that perennial
just believe
team.
Utah was a good. There's a difference between being a good season team and a good post playing team. And I think that Utah never had enough. You got Rudy Gobert that is so overrated. It's not even funny to me. I don't care what anybody says. Mike Conley, his day has come, passed, retired, left, and come back dead. I don't know why they keep running Mike Conley into the ground. Then you got Donovan Mitchell that thinks he's Kobe every night. when nobody else shows up. You know what I'm saying? It's here, there, and everywhere. And poor Donovan, the only reason why he signed the extension is because Quinn Snyder was the coach.
And now he's gone.
And now he's gone. So now you got a turmoil with he don't get around. I'm assuming from all I've heard is Donovan don't really care for Rudy like that.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Conley can barely stay on the floor. Jordan Clarkson, bless his soul, he's the only consistent piece that they have, and he's an ex-Laker. No ring still. You know what I'm saying? So this goes back to what you were saying. All these players, these pieces that we traded away, yeah, we traded them away, but they haven't won anything. They haven't been monumental in any wins to win a ring or go the distance. So
what I might say to that is if I may, I might say that this might be a different topic, and we might have a different point of view minus the Clay injuries, because minus the Clay injuries, we may not win that title in the bubble. Minus those issues that they're dealing with, we may not be looking back and saying, oh, that trade, well, we got that ring. Who knows? It's always a what if. There's always things that help us along the way, of course, but
there's help every year.
Every team gets help. That's just the way it goes.
There's help every year. I mean, Milwaukee went out. Boston took them out because Chris Middleton didn't play,
down, of course.
Right? Yeah. But it's still a big feat without Giannis. Yeah, I don't want that at all.
It's not easy to take out the former championship team.
You know what I'm saying?
To do. Yeah.
But
definitely.
I feel like injuries are part of the game. You can only do so much. We won a ring. There's no asterisks, whatever. There was a short season. There's a lockout season, whatever.
No, we're taking it.
Oh,
we got them on the team.
But all I know is all these
Boston
players.
saying.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that championship though, like when we're talking about that bubble championship, remember how that season first started. The season first started with the big matchup between the Lakers and the Clippers, and we lost that game. But when we lost that game, remember what happened? We were 24-3 at one point. So during that time, from the time that we lost that game, we had a record of 24-3. So to say a healthy Warrior team would have beat us, because we were smashing everybody else.
No,
we were catching everybody off guard. Nobody was ready for that.
We're a terrible matchup.
I'm just saying,
no matter how terrible we are.
Yes, because we have an athletic big man. I mean, and I know they always throw up the AD versus Draymond Green matchup, but look, I'll give you one game and you're gonna beat him up. The second game, we're gonna move him around, and you ain't gonna have nothing to do with it, and he's gonna dominate you the rest of the series. So it wouldn't have been like they would have been able to get anything. I give them that one game in that series. Now, what we have now is just this weird collection of pieces that don't fit. And so now we gotta go ahead and see how we're gonna do this. I'm with Andrea. We should be more mad at the management than we are at the players. And I'll give you an example. Why are we always when we do a trade that we have to worry about a pick swap? Why do we gotta do pick swap? And if you are going to do a pick swap, why can't you have the savvy to be like, okay, but it's lottery protected? You see what I'm saying? Like, I give you the pick swap, but I have to have something. Like what we were doing, we gave them everything, and we didn't get anything back in return. We didn't get second round picks. We didn't get we didn't do any of that. And that's just a mark of a bad GM or a GM that's not savvy enough to know what he's getting taken. Okay. So once again, we've seen this before. It's always the Lakers always got to give up more to get something. No, you don't have to do that, man. Just get your team. And to be honest with you guys, we are going to be rebuilding sooner than later. Once LeBron's gone and we have AD missing 50 games, I'm sorry, that's a rebuild year. That's not going to be anything that's going to get us out of that. So yeah, I mean, it's coming.
Okay. I have a question for that. Since you said we're going in a rebuild, I've been hearing like voices like, yo, trade Bron while you can. Be quiet.
I ain't said a word.
You's a hater, dude. I don't have.
I ain't say a word.
For me, I feel.
I ain't hating.
I feel the opposite, and I love him to pieces. Please don't be mad. I believe we should trade AD. We could go. We can get on the phone right now. Call Atlanta. Let me get Collins immediately. You know what I'm saying? Get a little bit younger. Get you a shooter or two. You know what I'm saying? And so I would get on the phone so fast to Atlanta. Huh?
Is that equal trade?
No,
we
you can
fit.
fill
No, you
in
can fill.
salary
No.
fillers.
Collins fits inside that. I think you can put. They have a lot of shooters over there that we can take, and they're young. I would take Hunter, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like, there's a few pieces I would take and send AD over there. I think it works well for him because why? They got Clint Capella around him. They got a bunch of shooters that will stretch the floor, give him space for the mid range. Like, I feel like he would be good over there.
Yeah,
And I think that would be a win for us.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm gonna tell you why they wouldn't do it because Lakers are so into getting what I call name brand players,
Especially name brand big men.
You know what I mean? So the
Mhm.
name that's coming back is not going to be
I don't think it's that.
that or that like, oh my God, we got so and so. Like,
What
it
makes
has
you
to-
think it's name brand big men that we're getting? We just
We
want
have to get
a
name
name
brand
at least.
players.
Wait. No, wait. Mike, in this case, he's factual. The Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook strictly because of name. That wasn't X's and O's. So that is their MO, is that if it's a name, they will look past.
It's not the name though.
Well,
it's
that's
not
but
the name.
that's what he said. He said that is the Lakers wouldn't make that trade
Like, we're
because
giving up Anthony Davis. It's like
they want that name in return more
because
than the
Anthony
talent
Davis-
for whatever reason.
The name Anthony
I don't buy
Davis-
that.
They want to sell a
No.
jersey more than
But you have, to me, I don't buy that. If we didn't have any other stars outside of AD, I would buy that. But you have Bron and Russ that
it's
are
the
still
only
here.
logical answer as to why they brought Russell Westbrook here.
They only brought Russell Westbrook because, okay, I'm not going to get upset. They only brought Russell Westbrook here because we wanted to make sure that we didn't run LeBron's minutes into the ground and we had somebody that can run the offense while he's sitting on the floor because our offense is stagnant.
But nobody saw him as the guy. You didn't.
except for LeBron. LeBron said, I want Russell Westbrook over here.
So that has nothing to do with the name.
It does.
It does not. That has to do with friendship, bro. It has nothing to do with name.
But the Lakers said okay because it was a name.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
Lakers said okay.
Because look,
I don't buy that.
I mean, okay, correct me if
If
I'm wrong.
he would have
Hey,
asked
Pat,
for anybody else, just like he asked for KCP, how KCP get a no trade clause, right? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to do with the name.
KCP preempted Bron,
Right.
so he paved the way for Bron to come over. He's actually the one who helped us get in the door with.
So
with
that's what I'm
Clutch and
saying. It
buttered
has
the way.
nothing to do with name. Bron is the one name we care about. That's the one name we care about.
Yeah, but you know what?
If
though?
Bron was to say,
Then
let's go after Collins, bro, we would go get Collins. It has
But
nothing to do with that.
But LeBron doesn't even do that though, right? Because listen, we saw him
10
say,
seconds.
we saw him say, "Hey, I want Kevin Love and get rid of Wiggins." And I think Wiggins, it would have been a much better fit, much better player than Kevin Love, especially during that time.
Kevin Love
but
was a bust, that's for
but
sure.
Kevin Love was a bigger name than Wiggins at that point.
Yeah,
So
well,
he definitely goes.
look,
for
I
the
don't
name
know
brand.
when active players have ever been good GMs. None of them. None of them. You can't. It's hard to see what's going on when you're on the court and you're looking at the players that are on the court and you're in the middle of it.
And
none
this
of
is
them.
not Lakers. That's Bron. Those are friends. You know
There
what I'm
you go.
saying?
Yeah, that's
I
true.
keep saying that. Like
Hey,
it's
y'all,
not the Lakers.
if y'all watch the show, then you know that every single week we finish the show with a segment we call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. Money Mike's Out of Bounds is simple. He's just going to go share his thoughts or opinions on a topic, and he wants to know if they're in bounds or out of bounds. Money Mike, you got
All
the
right,
mic.
y'all. So look, this is not sports related, and please, nobody don't think negative of me at all. But there was a story that came out about how this family who had lost a loved one put on Craigslist this sofa that was for free. They say, hey, yo, come pick up this sofa. It's free as long as you pick it up for today, right? This lady, she had just moved in her apartment. She went and picked up the sofa. She got the sofa, took it home, examined it. She said, hey, these cushions are a little different. What's going on? There were envelopes inside the sofa, $36,000 inside of the sofa.
Cha-ching.
Right. Now, I've been struggling with this because she immediately called him right back and said, yo, it's $36,000 in here. I'm going to give you all this money back.
Really?
She gave a whole money back and then said that she, didn't think nothing it wasn't a second thought for her to give this money back to something that was given away to her for free. Right now, I've been good thinking long and hard and everything. I think about karma and all that other stuff. This is my thing. If I would have gotten that sofa, am I out of bounds for calling her back and say, yo, I found 20, half, whatever it is. If I found about 13,000 in here, whatever, 17,000 in here, I'm dollars, and I'm gonna give you that 17,000 back, and I'm gonna keep the other part as a reward to myself. If I'm out of bounds for not giving all the money back because they do nothing about it in the first place,
Andre,
or
inbounds or out of bounds?
true story happened last week.
Listen, you out of bounds. I'm not calling nobody. That's my money.
Okay.
What? Yeah, I'm not calling nobody. You're giving it away.
Giving it away, but no crash list.
That means you had to lift this thing.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, somebody fell, sat on it. Somebody knows. Come on, man. Like, nah, bro, you out of bounds. I'm not calling anybody. I'm taking the 37,000 and the couch and buying a new couch.
All right, Step Pat.
No, man, you're in bounds, man. You're not out of bounds. I would say this though. First of all, anybody putting money in the couch, and you put money in the couch. You know what that says. That's drug money. That's something that you're not supposed to be doing.
Where are you stuffing that? So they
Why
ain't
is
missing
money
anything.
in the couch? Okay, why are we hiding money in the couch? Okay, so that's number one. So first thing, I'm already thinking those ways. Like, there's no way I'm giving you that money back. There's no way. You don't even know that money's there. And if it is, it's a loss. You're not gonna hunt me down for that money. You're gonna be like, okay, well, damn, I forgot about that money in the couch. But good thing we got this 150,000 in these boxes at the attic.
So technically, Money Mike's out of bounds then.
Correct.
Because I'll give him half back.
Yeah, because he'd only give half
Because
back.
you can have, I'm getting none.
Yep. And I am with none. And the reason why I'm with none is because things happen in mysterious ways. And I don't know, maybe God wanted me to have
that was
that.
a blessing for me.
And there's that story where, there's this guy and he's in the river and people throw him a life raft and he says, no, God's going to help me. And then another guy comes over and throws him a life ring. And he's like, no,
you throw
don't
away
worry.
all your help.
And he's like, and then he's dead. He's like, God, he's like, dude, I threw you a life raft. I threw you all this shit. You didn't take it. I kind of look at that and go, that was a gift.
I feel like God was speaking to me in 37,000
So you're out of
different
bounds.
ways.
Hey,
I'm
okay.
keeping it.
All right. You know what though? Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I feel a lot better that you got to take all the money because I really wanted to take all the money too, but I'm worried about the whole bad karma. To follow up on that story, they bought her a refrigerator and gave her $2,200 in cash. That's what she got.
$2,200 out of $37,000.
And that's the reason why they shouldn't have got the money back because they're not even generous.
No,
they're not even generous, dude.
Sorry.
Sleep. All right, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
So everybody's keeping the money. I
Everyone's
appreciate
keeping
that.
the money, and we're rich.
I was the nicest one for the record. Y'all
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, and which makes you out of bounds. Which makes you completely out of bounds.
Very Braun-like to me, right?
Right. Hater. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us so much. We want to thank Pat for joining us remotely. Super special thanks, Andrea. Thank you for joining us in studio again.
Thank you for having me.
Money Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you for your out of bounds.
Hey, let me just say, the Warriors. I'm predicting a backdoor sweep. They're about to win the next 3 games and take this home. Fredo, you heard it.
Hey, Mike. Mike, real quick. I know you said that before, but I'm gonna just give you a reminder. You must have forgot what Boston is like during the finals. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. When you start seeing them fouls be weird, I'm just being honest with you, though. Wait.
I hope you can
You're
bet
gonna
on
see
that.
stuff like 35 free throws to 12. I promise you, bro. It's gonna be out
Bet on the gentleman's sweep.
I said if it goes game 7, I lose.
Yo,
so I said
they're going
Warriors
to Boston even. You know that's coming back 3-1.
Oh no.
Yes, it is. And on a closeout game, Boston's not playing.
And that is the show, but we will be back next week to discuss it and find out exactly what happened. So thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to download this audio starting Tuesday on every single podcast platform. That includes Spotify, iHeart, and Apple Podcasts, any of them. So thank you so much. Again, Andrea, Money Mike, Stat Pat, thank you. Marco Nunez, thank you for joining us earlier. Everyone, have a great week. We'll see you.
Peace.
Peace.